My dear daughter, this rant stroke conversation is about, of course, artificial intelligence, because it's the topic of the moment. It's the 27th of January of 2023, and I came across this article. Um, the wolf is at the door, apparently. ChatGPT can make these jobs obsolete. And I wanted to discuss something with you or tell you a little bit of the history. We've actually been automating people away for quite some time. It's called robotic process automation. And it is used to drive efficiencies in processes where you might have had a team of like 100 people doing stuff. You now only need a team of 5 because you've redesigned the process to allow modern technology to do quite a lot of it for you. It's automation, right? It's where you're taking the busy work away from the human being and giving it to a machine which is designed to reliably, repeatably, securably, with security conscience, whatever that word is, and visibly and audibly do the work instead of the human being. And this has been going on since Gilgamesh and beyond, right? Like the automation and the use of robots and machines goes way back to prehistory. It isn't new. I mean, we use modern technology in terms of silicon and robots and software and stuff, but actually this goes on all over the place and has been doing since human beings have been around. So I'm always puzzled when people go, the wolf is at the door, the wolf, oh. Well, maybe it's not the scratching of the wolf at the door you're hearing, but opportunity knocking, I guess is what I would say. Now, I'm not going to play this for you. I'm sure you'll be able to find it on some kind of thing, but more adverts, marketing. Well, what's really interesting is that ChatGPT is outperforming human beings. On Wharton MBA exam, sure. But what is that actually telling us? What is that actually telling us? Is it just not telling us that maybe examinations aren't testing our human capacity? Because if what you're testing is a capacity or capability which can be reproduced by a machine, then are you really testing the human? Now, back in the day, and actually, maybe it was a Tuesday, there's been a lot of discussion for many decades on the fact that examinations and how we test people, how we judge people on their, educational outcomes is incredibly bad, right? There's normally a picture of let me see if I can find you this picture, which is a hilarious picture. Let's have a look. Let me search. So, image of animals being asked to climb a tree. I should have done this via thingy, shouldn't I? What's it called? Latent diffusion, right? That would be hilarious. This. For fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. Right? So, monkey's good. Is the bird good? Bird doesn't climb the tree, it can fly up to it. The dog, possibly, but the rest of them, no. It seems a bit weird, right? And what's even more weird, maybe the underlying thing is, in what appears to be an African-type savanna, there are animals who shouldn't be there, and for some reason there's a chap with a desk. I wonder what that says about everything. But isn't this the problem, right? If your exams can be taken by a machine, which is learning through rote, through making quick connections and just dipping into knowledge, isn't that telling you about what you're testing as an exam, right? Which part of the human you're testing? And, there is that thing of like, well, you've all got to take the same exam, otherwise it's not fair. Well, what's the outcome we're looking here for, right? Is the outcome, and, by now you'd have taken many exams, and I think some of those might have been like that, which is like everyone take the same exam, so it's fair. But what is it we're saying is fair at that point? If you're asked the same questions in the same ways, but you don't learn in the same way as your other people around you, then is that actually fair? Is that really deciding whether you understand the outcome, can you get to the outcome, or are you saying um, you all have to get to the outcome in the same way? Because that is turning you into machines. And if that's what we're testing, then yes, GPT models, machine learning, artificial intelligence models will always come up to par and start beating human beings. So that is what it is. Um, so maybe we shouldn't be saying, "Oh my God, the wolf's at the door," and it's like, but we should be asking, "Hey, hold on a minute, what are we actually testing here? Maybe what we're testing isn't right." This thing, unlike students will cheat, right? Professor catch a student cheating with ChatGPT. It's no longer writing answers down on the back of your hand or on the toilet roll holder in thing and going, not that I ever did anything like that, by the way. But it's kind of weird, which is like the amount of adverts on here. But it's around like, they were caught cheating, and it's like, okay. So once again, kind of points to, listen, if you detected it was ChatGPT, was the answer okay? Because if the machine can do it, then maybe we should be testing people in different ways. Maybe we should be moving away from testing and examination to something else, right? To something that more demonstrate the person's absorption of the principles, of the outcomes of the applications. Back in the day, maybe this was on Thursday, there was a back when we were living in jungles, etc. There was a coming of age. Predominantly, I think it was a male thing, but there's also female things of coming of age, and there were normally tasks that were set, and the tasks were set, and the the person had to go off and do these tasks, but the task wasn't go climb a tree; it was find food. That's a really basic, simple, and I'm sure no one ever set that task as a coming of age thing, but it was that kind of outcome based rather than go do X, Y, and Z, right? The Spartans and the Agogi had some interesting outcomes. They wanted their new warriors, their new men to demonstrate, and most of it was lethal. So it's interesting that maybe what we're doing is finally starting to understand that we are testing wrong. We are gauging humanity incorrectly, and we are ignoring people's humanity and how people learn, which can be wildly different, but still achieve the same outcome of knowledge and eminence, and saying, no, you must learn this way. And I don't think that's correct. I think hopefully by the time you hear this, we'll have created new ways or found new ways of testing people. And understanding people, and instead of trying to test, oh, is this is Hicks? It's very interesting, right? GPT is the GPT model or automation is such a interesting thing to think about when we think about what's coming ahead. This is interesting, which is like 10,000 people being laid off, and there's a multi-billion-dollar investment in AI. Maybe that's telling people certain things. But it's interesting that I think what will happen in most fields is that a lot of the automatable stuff will get automated away, and a lot of the stuff that isn't automated, or it needs the fuzzy logic, right? Will be kept human, but it will also disappear one day. And I think when once again, there's a question here that hopefully you will have understood what I'm talking about by the time you read this, but there's a fundamental question that I think we need to ask as AI, as automation really begins to make an impact on our jobs. And I will cover it in a later topic, but it's a little too early. Bearing in mind that I'm also releasing this in 2023, and you have to be slightly careful about how you release certain information and ask certain questions. Not that I care about being cancelled or anything. I have no idea what that means, and got to care about what you're being cancelled from to actually worry about being cancelled. But it's I think it's okay to make jobs obsolete. We've been making jobs obsolete since year dot in humanity, right? Hunter gatherers pretty quickly, well, not pretty quickly, but went out of vogue, right? Their jobs were made obsolete. farmers obsoleted quite a lot of food production, right? Metallurgy turned up, right? That automated fire furnaces, the Industrial Revolution, right? Which really led to the ubiquitous revolution, which has now led to the technological revolution, which has now landed us with the artificial intelligent revolution. Um, but you see, the thing about revolution is it goes round, it repeats. That's why it's a revolution, right? It's a revolution. Now, whatever that revolution is attached to might move along in space time and in history, but it's a revolution, right? You're just back to where you began. You just have different detritus on your tread, in a tire word, right? And that you have to deal with. And that's, I think, something of the key. But I don't think, and you would have discovered this by now, I hope, you know, that artificial intelligence and things like GPT models should be seen as wolves that are trying to come and destroy us. I think specific intelligences, specific artificial intelligence, or as we used to call them, expert systems, will really help us create better outcomes. But in order to do that, we need to move away as a species and societies from this idea of jobs and, my job versus what's my outcome. In my own discipline of engineering, we talk a lot about these days bad outcomes. It's I'm a consultant, so there's journeys and outcomes and so on and so forth. But really, it's about creating an outcome for a client, just the same way it is about creating an outcome for your children, and the process that your outcomes, that your mother and I spent a lot of time and effort and resource on. If you break that up, there's lots of little things that got done, but really it was all heading in the same direction, and we could have done it loads of different ways. But it wasn't the different ways that were important. It was getting you there. That was important, right? That's the outcome. You're the outcome. And there are many paths that we could have taken, but we took the path that we took. And here you are. And I think this is the same thing. So it's a very interesting kind of development. I'm sure I'll speak about this again. But this whole thing about artificial intelligence is making human beings really ask a lot more questions, or should be asking a lot more questions about what outcomes they're trying to achieve. And maybe we can finally start having a sensible conversation about the fact that, the way we do examinations today, the way we test a human being, the way we engage a human being's learning is incorrect. It's just wrong. I remember one of my masters saying to me when I was at school, first thing you learn at university is how to forget everything you learned at school. And that was a very interesting thing to say. I only did a year at uni, but maybe that was correct. I had to relearn quite a lot of stuff. But it is it is an interesting topic, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to deliver some really great, energetic, and interesting outcomes. There are, however, there's this. Did I find it here? About abject terror. Where's the abject terror bit? There's some abject terror going on. Don't know why. Told the Guardian. Maybe that says everything you need to know. Let's have a look. There was something here about the abject terror of something. About being incredibly worried about artificial intelligence, killing everybody. Rogue AI could kill everyone. There we go. Rogue AI could kill everyone. I don't think it's going to get the time. We're doing a pretty good job of that without AI, if I'm honest with you. Back in 2023, as war clouds were gathering, lots of people were making money on all sides. It's really interesting. Superhero and AI, there's particularly the different sorts of class which could kill everyone. These dots always worry me because there's normally like paragraphs in there. It's very strange how people believe in that AI will kill everyone. The only way the AI could kill everyone is if a human set it the right outcome, right? I'm sure if you asked an AI, how would I kill everyone? it would, tell you, because it does an analysis and goes, well, given what I know about human beings, state of weapons technology, biotechnology, chemical technology, right? This is how I would go about doing it. Doesn't mean it's actually going to do it. It's just answering your question. And I think it's important to understand the difference between those two things. And just like any machine, there used to be a saying that says, listen, to err is human, but to completely mess things up, because I can't swear on this video, it takes a machine. And that is right, because actually it's just doing what you asked it to do really quickly and lots of times, which means that what might be, oops, as a human doing it turns into, dear God, everything is burning, when a machine is doing it. So yes, couldn't AI kill everyone? Yeah, but only if it's asked to, right? And if you give it an outcome that it realizes that killing everyone is probably the good way. You should. I'm sure maybe you watched the Terminator series, the machines rise, kill everybody on the planet by launching nuclear weapons. But it's interesting to understand what condition could that happen in, because unless you actually determinedly build a weirdly complexly evil AI, which determined, and there's a matrix, right? Let's make every human being a battery, etc., because we produce lots of energy. Yeah, sure, we could go down that way, but look, today we've got drive-bys, hit and runs, nuclear weapons, general weapons, advanced military platforms. I honestly think it's not AI we really have to worry about in killing everyone. We got that covered. Humans have got that covered all by ourselves. We're pretty good at it, been doing it for as long as one human being has coveted something else of another human being, so the other human being didn't want to give it up. So yeah, I think it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how this kind of, I can see being used to say you must not have AI in X, Y, and Z because it'll burn the world out and burn the mills. But I think just like any technology, if you use it sensibly, you can do good rather than harm and evil. But anyway, I hope this finds you well. I love you. I'll speak to you later.